H.A.S.F is a humanitarian aid organization that specializes in working in non-permissive environments such as Iraq and northern Iraq, Kurdistan, where we have been doing a lot of work lately. And now here that we're in Honduras, we're working here in some of these areas that are kind of gang infested with MS-13 and Barrio 18 gangs. Dave, I knew from, it's kind of a funny story. It's like I met him on the internet, which is usually you don't want to meet people on the internet. But when we were both on a popular travel forum and we kind of had an internet friendship for a while and met up a couple times while we were traveling around the world. Him going around the world and doing all this work really inspired me to think that, I've got unique skills. I'm getting ready to retire from security contracting. Maybe I can use these skills to better the place in the world. So that's what I did, and with his mentorship, I was able to form H.A.S.F. This is our sixth mission so far. My role is I'm the senior team leader. There were a couple security guys here with me, and then a few back in the States manning our TOC. And basically, it's the Special Forces model where you send a small group in, you work with another group, either locally or another group like Dave comes in, and then we assist them with whatever their mission is using assets in the state for intelligence, weather, communications, anything that you could imagine. And we try to work small to make whatever money we raise go a long way. So far, it's been a very effective model for what we're doing. The concerns were mostly having to do with the, like a lot of the areas worked in were of course gang infested areas, but with these churches, you know that they usually have deals with them, which they did in this particular case, but you never know. If anyone watches Star Trek, it's like the Klingons. A lot of these gangs is where one guy will be in charge, but for number two to get in charge, he's got to kill number one, which happened at the first site we were in recently. So they had to piece together a new deal last minute so that we'd be able to come in and be unharmed. But you still don't know. Their rival gangs could come in. They could have their Klingon power change at any time. So there's a lot of concerns that was primarily my main concern. That was the original incarnation of H.A.S.F, is to provide security and security training to other humanitarian aid organizations, missionaries, we're preferably Christian-based because they have a great network. And I myself, as a person of faith, I really wanted to work with these groups because I feel, a lot of them, God does protect us, but it's good to have some common sense and some skills and some training to come in with it to, ensure that things that happen here that are avoidable, you avoid. So this is, we originally started out doing a lot of aid work like food, medicine, water, and things like that, which we still continue to do. But now we're expanding on the original idea, which was to provide PSD, which is personal security details, and security training, hostile environment training, not only to aid groups, but of course missionaries that are already here, churches in countries around the world that are non-permissive environments. Your attacks are more predictable. Here it would be more of a black swan event where just suddenly a new gang leader or another gang decides to come in, things that you can't really predict. In Iraq, fortunately, most of the movements are predictable, especially if you have intelligence resources and the ability to future predict models of what's going on there. But here, the violence is sudden. In Iraq, some of the violence is sudden, such as IEDs and car bombs and things like that, can be not necessarily avoidable, but they're expected. Here it can be a great time, sunny day, and then all of a sudden a bunch of MS-13 gangbangers come in and start shooting the place up. So you definitely have to be on your wits, and hopefully God will protect us, right? We don't take salaries. We don't pay for a lot of the things that the other organizations do. We use 100% of all the donations for missions only. That's it. No salaries, nothing like that. No fancy cars or anything. Not really any more challenges that you would normally see in a semi-permissive environment, what this would be considered, but for aid missions as compared to when I did PSD work with the military and some private organizations is that having emotional neutrality. So, we're not just guarding some diplomat or something like that in an environment where there's lots of sorrow, lots of suffering, and you still have to be on the job. You're looking out for threats. You're still talking, keeping communications. And so it's like today they had a young girl come in, she's 17, and there've been a lot of teenage girls coming in that had to have teeth removed. And now they have the stigma of not having teeth. And as you imagine a teenage girl, regardless where she's from, is poor and now she has no front teeth. I mean, it's a terrible situation, and unfortunately, it's also an economic one because that limits her jobs. A lot of the girls here, they go work in the shopping malls as clerks, they work in restaurants and things like that, which is very appearance-based. So now they can't even do that. To fix her teeth so that she would be presentable is only $43, and it's I don't know. It's you see these things happening, and you want to just pull the money out of your own pocket, but that's what you're not there for that. And also, if you do it for one, you have to do it for 100, and there simply isn't enough money left around to do that and the mission for a group like LACIMA. So you have to help the ones that you can, but you see these things as you're standing guard, and it's you got to push it down. Just push it down, push it down. But there's that moment when the mission's over and you're back home. You usually get a little bit of alone time. I myself, I'm an orphan, and people see Korea now as this big technological place that's rich and everything. But back in 1973, it was Cambodia. It was a poor, war-torn third world country. And I know as someone who was born there as an orphan, what my options would have been. It would have been petty crime or probably prostitution, which is what most young boys would have gone into then. I was fortunate. I was adopted by a good Christian family in the States. And every time I see these kids and knowing that small things that can be solved by a small amount of money could be solved, and yet people still buying 3 or 4 Starbucks, it can get a little disappointing. But then I think about all the people who donated to Dave at LACIMA and us at H.A.S.F, and it evens it out somewhat. But you got to keep your wits about you, whether or not you're upset or not, and then you save it up for a good cry when the mission's over.